Okay, we're live. Um, so I really think last week, as I said, I feel last week's conversation was a culmination of conversations we've been having. And I wanted to create like work documents in our folder for each and every one of us with our titles. And I will. I was just busy this weekend, but I will. But I really think we've set some really strong foundations to build on, when it comes to how we can communicate with our ideal audiences and how we can, you know, like all of the communication, you know, um, just knowing that, I don't like using the typical marketing terms like niche and expert and all those things, but it is what it is. We have to be known for something, and that's what draws the audiences to us. So I think it's a discussion we should continue. And of course, whatever is going on with us individually. So, um, so I posted an opt-in from, she's a floral watercolorist. Her name is Birgit O'Connor. I've been following her since 2007.
Oh,
Yes, I've
wow.
bought her classes. The only thing I haven't done with her is gone to take a class with her. She lives in Northern California, and I keep on postponing it. But the point I want to make is I'm on her list, I'm in her group, but she just posted an opt in, and I still opted in because she speaks to me. I still want more, right? And it was a basic opt in about learning how to, she, even though her flowers are from life, but she minimizes the number of lines. She simplifies the shapes. So she posted a very simple opt-in. I posted it in the group where she said, click to learn how to draw flowers my way or something. But it's yet another illustration of how we can have a super packed opt-in, which is introducing us and our values and everything to our audiences. However, we can still have these mini, mini, mini opt-ins, like bite-sized opt-ins, which are still in line with what we're about and still scatter them all over social media for people to opt in. So I thought that was a good example. Mm. So, Beata, have you thought about um, what we discussed on Friday?
Yes, I thought about it, and but that's still very difficult to uh, find out what should be the effect on my audience. So I was thinking about what other paintings uh, have on me
Mm-hmm.
and and try to find out on this way why I drawn to certain paintings, and I realized that because it somehow evokes certain memories,
Mm-hmm.
and based on these memories uh, I can find new desires, new dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and plans, and that brings mm, a good feeling for me.
Okay.
But otherwise, I have no idea why others. I know that a few people love my paintings,
Mm-hmm.
but they couldn't really tell me why
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's
so
always
that's
nice.
why it's really difficult uh, to describe.
Okay. If I were to ask you a different question, as in, what would you want to be known for?
Me,
Would do
I
you
I
would
have no idea why I would like to be known for.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah. Mm.
No, but off the
Mm.
top of your head, if just
Probably only about my emotional paintings.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was just telling Michelle, no, all of us that I wanted to create these folders. I wanted to go back, watch the videos, and create folders for all of us, to show the consistent ideas that we've been presenting. And when I think about you, it is very emotional, very strong emotional expression, which cannot be put into words, can only be expressed through this medium. You know, that's what I feel and because I've had conversations with you, that's what I feel when I see your paintings. So
Yeah, so I can't describe it in more detail. I was thinking about it, but I don't know. So I couldn't come closer.
mhm,
Uh, but I found out that I will try on another way. So I have a mindfulness advent calendar in
uh-huh,
Hungarian.
yeah, I can see that.
And so I decided that I'm going to create Instagram posts every
Mm-hmm,
day
Oh,
uh,
nice.
mm-hmm,
based on these. So I have these feelings,
mm-hmm,
and I try to find a quote
mm-hmm,
which close to these feelings, and I'm going to post them as advent notes
mm-hmm. Okay. Are you connecting these to your art?
to my art.
Mm-hmm,
I can try. I haven't.
mm-hmm.
I haven't connected yet, but I can try. Yes, that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
because what I see is a conversation. It's a general conversation about, what you're about,
Hmm.
you know, um, the the healing, the um, deep, deep
Hmm.
expression, you know. So, yeah. And so I have one last question, which I'm asking all of us, and I don't expect that we'll have the answers today, but as we continue to think about these things, what would you feel would be such a strong and authentic opt-in to be something like the introduction to you and your world, like someone who didn't know you and you wanted to um, not just put your best foot forward, but to create something deep where once they experienced it, they would really get to know you
Hmm.
and what you're about. You know, um, is
Prob- I'm not sure, but probably a shortened live painting video can
mhm,
be. Mm, but it would last for a while until I can create this, because it takes time until I finish a painting. I have no idea how long it would last. It depends on each painting has a different journey.
absolutely.
And yeah, so I should create the videos that after that somehow uh, organize and structure it into a shorter
Hmm.
version. It shouldn't be longer than
Yeah.
15-20 minutes because we don't
Yeah.
have too much time and don't want to spend so
Hmm. You,
much,
you just
but
reminded
that can be.
me. just reminded, I'll post this. It's a large file, but um, this is classical painter I've bought some classes from, and I love her style of teaching. Like in the videos, she records the painting, and then she does a voiceover.
Ah,
And in the
really?
voiceover, she just doesn't focus on technique. She focuses on emotion. She focuses on, the styles of the old masters. It's a very conversational. She's not just saying paint red here. No, I'll post it in the group.
Thank you.
Something
Thank you.
that
Yeah,
you
that might be interesting.
But I just love listening to her.
There's another, I took a workshop with a neighbor artist friend of mine who actually lives only 3 doors down. And she was talking once upon a time about interviewing a painting. A painting that you did. And that was so intriguing because at first I thought, interview a painting? This is a little woo-woo. But she, but boy, it tapped in the series of questions that she asked. It tapped something really, it brought tears to my eyes. And I'm going to have to find that whole dialogue because it was so valuable. And I had never, and I thought when you were talking, Beata, that might be something you might want to do, is just interview that painting. And if you could just try to capture whatever it is, your thoughts behind it, as Shirley Ann had suggested, maybe videotaping, but also just writing down just words as they come and thoughts. And I think it would be hugely revolutionary. And
That is such an
That's a
incredible
fantastic
idea.
idea.
good.
Yeah, that's really great.
So, did your neighbor, is this a recording or was it written? Does she have some book?
No, she had a workshop. She
Really?
actually is not a full-time artist, but had been, and it was more of the unschooled type of, where it was all emotional and all, and she does social work, and she does a lot of work with geriatric patients who are in hospice and who are poor and have been evicted and all, so she has a lot of confronting very emotional, painful things in her work, and so she turns to art as her own art therapy, just to keep her, level-headed in all the emotional work that she does do. And this was, I think this was by her own design, but it was just, there were probably about 12 students in that group, and I took it because I was teaching at the time I was teaching at the same place that she was having, excuse me, this course, and it was a beautiful setting, and almost everybody came to the same it was a very profound connection that we all had by sharing what was revealed in these paintings. And the paintings, what I was painting was so boys playing soccer. It was just not, it was not, but what went beyond it was the emotions connected to that piece and why that piece had stirred something. And, it was very interesting. It was very...
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
It's an incredible idea.
It sounds like art therapy.
Absolutely.
I think it probably was, without necessarily being designed that way, or maybe she just knew it would be, because she also had us do a self-portrait in collage, which had been the first self-portrait I'd done since I was 18. I mean, and that was interesting, and what that brought up. So it wasn't billed that way. It was billed as a collage class, or just,
Wow, that's
Maybe she snuck in the meaning there on the other side of the label. So, get people in the door. Some people would be adverse to the idea of therapy, like, oh, well, I don't really need it, or what are you going to tell me that I don't already know? Instead, she gets in the door, and then she does the twist.
Yeah, it could be.
Yes,
Could be.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So yeah, Beata, you have things to think about, things to consider. All of us do, but this yeah. And then
Yeah.
I'm also reminded of one of the very first conversations we had here, where you talked about the faces.
Mhm.
Oh, where did Michelle go?
Oh,
Okay,
Ah,
I'm
maybe
sure
she
she'll.
lost connection.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be back.
yeah.
Oh, she's back.
I'm sorry.
She's back.
There was somebody in my studio, and I meant to turn the mic off, and I ended up hanging up
Oh, okay.
instead. So
Yeah,
sorry about
wondering
that.
where you went. Yeah, so Beata, I'm being reminded of um your faces, and I think you talked about, preserving memories, or not
Hmm.
preserving memories, but remembering people through the faces. So I'm just seeing all these connections, and as we're figuring out, it's not a one time. We just can't come to this and say, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
It requires all
It's
this introspection and conversation about
It's a journey, not
it's a
a
journey.
yes, it's a
Yes,
journey.
it's a journey.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
not an end point.
yeah. So I think we're getting there. So yes, you have a lot to consider, but I love the idea of the painting as an opt-in. For somebody to step into the experience. I think that would be something.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay. Is there anything
Yeah.
you'd like to share with us?
Nothing more. Thank you. Thank you for the ideas.
Hmm, thank you. All right. Okay, Marianne, it's your turn.
I wish had a lot more to say since
Mm,
Friday, but weekends get taken over by
mm,
other things. I did do some stream of consciousness writing on Saturday afternoon, and I hadn't done that in a while. And
Mhm.
Fantastic.
it's
mm,
Yeah.
probably what I ought to do more often because I really think it
Mhm.
sort of taps into something that doesn't, it's waiting. It's just sitting there waiting. It just needs to have a creative outlet. And I usually just put a paintbrush in my hand, but I decided maybe what I needed to do was write. And it came out pretty, pretty interestingly whole when I read it back.
Wow.
wow.
And really
Hmm.
just as some explanation for what I needed to do. And I
Mm,
think kindness to myself needs to be
mm,
considered. That I really needed to choose something to do that massages um, my beginning of my day, so
mhm,
that I'm not getting over the hurdle of getting started every day. I need to find an easy entry. Um, because I'm afraid I've gotten into sitting still, standing still, having my time sapped away by other things, and
mhm,
so I need a tool, a ritual tool that will
Hmm.
appeal. And I started to think about pen and ink, and this woman that I had heard of, and you may have, I don't remember her name, but she was in the news for a little while. She was painting quarter size paintings. She's a mother. She had very little time. She refused to let herself completely quit. And I think she's in Africa. I could be wrong about that, but
mhm.
she was every day producing a little drawing or painting in the size of a quarter. And she
Whoa.
did it for like
Hmm.
a year. I mean,
She must
super
have had
tiny.
great eyesight.
Mhm,
I, she must have some kind of magnifying glass,
Tool.
and many of
Yeah.
you could get one.
Huh.
But I've been thinking about her because she had this show in New York City. She started
Wow.
selling these tiny little paintings, and people,
Mhm.
I mean, it started going viral, and she had a big show. It was either in New York or DC. And I mean, she became famous for doing
Mhm.
these, like a few years worth of these quarter size paintings, just so she wouldn't stop, working. And I thought maybe what I need is something small that I can accomplish
Mhm.
that won't be such a hill to climb every day, and that will keep, start, it's like priming the pump. Get
Mhm.
something happen, and then I would have something that was easier to share
mhm,
on Facebook and was complete. quickly rather than something that takes me days or weeks to complete where I'm showing pieces of it. I kind of, when I went back over what I had shared a year ago after doing the Instagram class, they were pieces of paintings. And people would say, oh, I love that. And then that thing, whatever it was, would get covered up with another layer. You know,
Yeah.
it didn't end up being something that was useful necessarily. And they were looking at it as a finished this or that, and it was disappearing, you know. Um, it didn't seem after the fact like it was all that useful to show in progress shots because people were making decisions about the artwork before it was a finished product, and it ended up being very different. You know, of course, it was educational to me what they reacted to, but
But there were some of my peers that do that and actually garner sales. Somebody will let them know, put a hold on that, I want it. And but you're right in that if it's too early and people react that way, it might stagger what you think that piece should be or what it might lead you to. But in a way, it was good marketing if all they cared about was, I mean, well, not if all, but to let them know about what's going on in the studio because she has clientele. One has clientele that's eager to bite at the very next painting that she does. So,
well, I could definitely see people attracted to abstracts. But the
yeah,
people who weren't and needed more definition of some kind, they would, I mean, there was no response whatsoever. Only people that
right.
truly liked something undefined.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I also went back over some things I wrote the beginning of this year and the end of last year, and I realized I feel like I've been treading water all year. But then again, I know I haven't because of all
No.
the things I've tried to absorb, you know. There's a little sense of frustration, and I know I mentioned it, but finding the road forward out of all of this and feeling like finding that passion again, that thing that drives me to get up every morning to paint. Because you know, part of me feels like the energy I have is being sapped away by trying to keep a relationship going with somebody who's retired and has all kinds of time on their hands. And setting forth my own boundaries about what I need for myself. Um, I'm working on that. It's a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I keep it? You know, part of me would just rather shut everybody else out and paint. But I then know that I'll get lonely, you know, and
Yeah.
I'll, you know, feel bad about the fact that I let everybody go that was trying to have me involved in life,
Yeah.
you know. Keeping that balance, I find a challenge right now. How much to let the outside in and how much to just decide to be on my own. So I'm working on it.
What,
Can
what, no, sorry, we're going to say something, Michelle.
Oh, I was just wondering if she could set aside days that absolutely were her studio days, not to be interrupted, not to be, that they were held inviolate, where
Yeah.
he, is not to call or not, but that you have these blocks of, 8 hours and
I'm
just say,
trying
this
to
is
do
what
that.
I need, pardon me? You
I'm
try to
trying
do
to do
that?
that.
Didn't
Yeah,
work.
well, there are good things that he wants to introduce that a part of me really wants to go do it. We have a
Yeah.
river that runs through town, and he wants to walk every morning, but it means I'm going to drive across town, walk with him. Then afterwards, he's going to want to go to lunch. Then, it's going to end up taking too much
The whole
time. And
day.
so
Yeah.
I mean, everything, all my energy by then is sort of just
Mm-hmm.
out in the ethers. And I come home and it's like, do I even want to get into the studio now because my
Yeah.
mind has been somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I
We
hear
can,
you, and I've been
yeah.
thinking about that very thing about what days could I just give him and then walk away and say, okay, this is my time now. I'm working on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's all the time.
I was going to ask whether you're an early riser or what are your mornings like?
I haven't been.
Oh,
It's turned, my table had turned as of about a year, 15 months ago.
mm-hmm.
I went through a desire to get up early and a
Mm-hmm.
realization that physically I might actually need to sleep longer.
Okay.
even though I was getting up and being at a workout thing at 6 a.m. And I thought this is just the greatest thing. And then I would come home and collapse for a few hours and go back to sleep.
Okay.
And I went to through a doctor's program last year, and they kind of highlighted the fact that I might actually need to sleep late and not force myself into an early hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It is. We have to listen to the rhythms of our bodies. That's what it is.
Well, that's not what I wanted, because I'd rather be gung ho and get up.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe I just need a gentler approach,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because some of my most productive time is late in the day.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
It,
asking because before I became a mother, I was a night owl. I
yeah.
did my best work at night,
Yeah.
and now at night I'm a zombie cat.
Exhausted.
So I realized that the best time I wake up at 4, and it's the best time for me to be alone,
Yeah.
and just do something, be by
Yeah.
myself. And then at 6, I have to start, getting ready for school and stuff. But I don't think I could have, you know, done the work that I've done without having those extra 2 hours in the
I'm
morning.
with you, Shirley Ann. I'm an early bird too.
Yeah, yeah. But again, we have to listen to,
Yeah, our own rhythms.
because if there was a way to carve out time for you every day, then you would, everything would just flow. You know.
Yeah. I wish I could find the right plan. I
Mm-hmm.
just do things so differently than when I'm with him,
Mm-hmm.
that it's challenging going back and forth between those two things. And even have considered cohabitating, and then just sat back and went no, because then all my energy would be I'd be available and he would sap it. He would,
Yeah.
you know, expect full involvement. I just can't do
Yeah.
it.
It is what it is.
Anyways, saga continues.
Yeah. Okay. Well, um, we're all figuring it out. Yeah. Okay, Michelle, what about you? Have you thought about, well, you have classes and all these things.
I'm fully into the role of teacher. So I'm designing this class,
Mm-hmm.
and I shared with Shirley and Marianne and Beata that I decided to enroll in the same class that Allison was telling us about, just because I thought, okay, I'm going to have this great, well, hopefully great class designed, and
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to reach the right people? And I thought, well, that's a class. I listened to the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
This is how to grow your email list like a freaking weed, and I signed up for it, and I'm now taking it. You can do all 7 modules in one fell swoop,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think either of these other classes are nearly as well designed as Alexis's course or as Nicholas Wilton is, but nonetheless, they're valuable. There's a different way of seeing the world, a different way of doing things, and it's good that I get informed by everything, without. I don't know how I'm getting on these lists though, because now I'm kind of worried that I'm going to always be spending money on classes and never do anything.
It's what it
Never
is.
do anything. But I just I'm excited about it again, which is at first I go, oh, this is never going to fly, blah 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 blah, and it will.
Yeah.
And other than that, no, I didn't sell 9 paintings this weekend. I only sold 2, but but it's still
Still good.
it's a good thing. And people are asking now, well, what's going on with the factory?
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely the the temperature's changed, and it's hugely, and I'm in mourning for what we've lost. But it's not to say that there isn't benefit still being here. It's just that it seems so much more selfish than it had been. We had been a community, and we had been a band of volunteers and people that got a lot of work done. Do you have to go off, dear? You know, you're looking. It must be time for you to get going. So that's probably all I.
No, I'm
okay.
fine. I have
okay.
20 minutes. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, but other than that, you know, life is going along. I'm trying to get my house in holiday mode, and I'm not ready for invaders. I've got to do things like get a new toilet. And anyway, but that's it for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask a question. So with all the classes that you're taking, obviously, these are tools to move your agenda forward.
Yes,
right? The agenda
absolutely.
remains the same. You know, so are you finding that as you're doing the classes and answering the questions, there's a consistency to what you're about, you know, what you're putting out in the world? Is are the classes mining you, if that makes sense?
I don't think they're directed to mining me. I think they're equipping me with skill sets to be able to do that myself.
Okay.
It's not a discovery of what I'm going to be, what I'm about in teaching. Janine's course talked about concentrating that I could share that will benefit. It's like designing for over there, which is just the same thing that we've been told in Alexis, but you're always looking to what would benefit them and what it is that you want them to be able to accomplish and have. And so and that is very fulfilling. I enjoy that. So it really doesn't have a lot to do. The information I'm accumulating has little to do with me and more to do with what I can offer. You know, does that make sense? You know, it just
of course, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out. You know, how to, because at the end of the day, we are offering it.
Right.
You know, so
right.
Just how to make the connection. I think that's
exactly.
You know, so okay, well, we'll figure this thing out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So Shirley Ann, what about you?
So as I was telling you, Michelle, and I'm finding that it's easier to communicate with men. You know, it's easier to sell to men. It's like, buy this for your wife or your girlfriend, or, you know. So it's I really have to consider really focusing on men as a strong niche for what I have to offer.
Yeah.
On the other side, this always happens to me, and I'm ready to surrender. I've been focusing on art. I'm like, you know, right now my life is, you know, I'm a full-time mom. I don't have this big life, you know. So let me just focus on art. Let me try and be this person who focuses on one thing, you know. But as that happens, you know, the more momentum that I am able to harness, it's like everything else comes back. The fashion comes back, the photography comes back, the coaching comes back. And I think I'm ready to stop resisting it and just let it all unfold and see where it leads. You know?
Good.
So that's what's going on in my world and in my head. So yeah, that's where I am.
Well, you're very, you know, you can't help it. It's who you are. And, you've got to express who you are. And,
Yeah.
congratulations to your son.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm so happy. He's won awards every semester except last semester, and I was like I felt like my world had come to an end. I was like, what did we do wrong? So to be back on track with not just one, not two, not three, but like six. I'm like, okay, we're back. So
Wow.
I'm thank you. So, yeah, I felt for so long that I haven't succeeded at, when you experience success or perceived success at a young age, it's like nothing you do is good enough in the eyes of, especially someone like my mother. I know my mother is proud of me as, I'm a mother, but I can hear it in her voice. It's like, what are you doing with your life? She doesn't say it, but I hear it. So in times like this, I'm very, very grateful for something that feels like success.
Yeah.
Um,
Understand that. There's all different kinds of success. And when I was out in public more, I still have people around me who are still out in public more than I am. And I occasionally assist them, but I feel it every now and then from here, where would I be if I hadn't given up producing in the way I produced back then? People would know who I am instead of me stepping away from the light and saying, I'm just going to recede for a while and do my own thing.
Yeah.
They've gone on. I'll see people list, if you need someone to paint murals or there's this big project that they want somebody to be considered for, and my name does not come up anywhere anymore for that. It used to continue to come up for a few years even after I quit, but I just have to make peace with, my choice to step away from that and remind myself my energy level needs to be devoted toward something I really care about than
Yeah.
being out on site.
Yeah.
All of my energy used to be out on job sites. And I was telling someone the other day, ladders and scaffolding and buckets and trowels and everything I used to do on job sites. I just had to pull back from that and try to refocus. Now, if I could only get the passion back for something new that would make me just jump every morning, and we'll find it. We will find it.
Yes, you will.
Every time you
And
talk about passion, I wish I could send you some of mine because my problem is I have too much of it. I wish I could package it and mail it to you.
I feel like all this work that we've done this year, I mean, it's not a waste. I'm just, as I said, a little frustrated because it feels like I've been treading water because I haven't been producing product. It's been more of a collection of ideas this year than production, and I'm sure hoping that the energy shifts here before too long to start production because all this marketing is great, but I've always measured my success or my way forward through projects, through accomplishing projects.
Yeah.
So the more paintings that were painted, the more not necessarily always sold, but the more that was produced showed me that I'd actually achieved something.
Yeah.
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 In the midst of all this marketing and commercialism, I think we always have to come back and remember that we're artists first, and not to mix the two, because once we try to mix the two, we get into trouble. So it's just about remembering that the marketing is simply this tool to share ourselves, but not to become commercial.
Right.
Really find,
Right.
Yes.
Which is hard to. But yes. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to share, talk about?
I don't have anything right now. Just continue to thank you guys.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a wonderful celebration of your son's
Thank
success.
you.
And
Thank you. If he lets me take pictures, I'll share.
good. I love that picture of you and he on Facebook. That was,
Oh, from
I love that.
2015. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that was I shared a memory. That was the
Yeah.
very first time he had taken a picture of me. So
Wow.
that was
Very
Yeah, that's
impressive.
great.
okay. So I promise. Okay, there are three things. I have to share the video for you, Beata.
Thank you so much.
There was something else. There was a middle one. And then I do want to create these folders for us
Okay.
to, just picking the gold and having them.
Okay.
So I'll do that. Okay. Have a wonderful week.
You
Take care,
too.
Have
everybody.
you
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.